to Season 2, Episode 1 of Vixen, a Black Beauty and Pop Culture podcast. If you enjoy what you hear today, please leave a review anywhere you listen to podcasts. Today's episode is on the fallout of female rappers and mega superstars Foxy Brown and Lil' Kim. Now, let's start the show. Hi guys, welcome back to Vixen. Welcome to Season 2. Oh my gosh, I feel like it's been a very long time since I sat down and recorded anything. It kind of feels weird even recording this because it's been so long, but I missed you guys. I missed the podcast, and I'm so happy to be back. Before we get started, I want to say I know I slacked, I did not do the accelerated content on the Instagram like I said I was going to do, but you guys, right after we went on hiatus, I had a really big lifestyle change. Nothing too serious. It just kind of threw me for a loop. So it threw me off for a couple of weeks and kind of gave me a little bit of writer's block. So I didn't get to start working on all the projects that I really wanted to work on until, it was almost time to come back for Season 2. But that doesn't mean that you guys aren't going to get that new content. It's still going to happen. I'm still working on it. It's just I'm running a little bit behind schedule. So I wanted to get that out the way first, but yes, we are back for Season 2. So I got my margarita wine here because I'm celebrating, coming back and talking to y'all, but you got to be careful with this margarita wine. This is the one by Kirkland. It's a little strong, so we're only having one glass tonight. But anyway, welcome back, y'all. I'm so excited for this season. I got a lot of really, really great episodes lined up for you guys. I took a lot of suggestions, so you guys will see some of your suggestions throughout the season, but let's get into episode 1. All right, y'all, so we are here to talk about a very well-known beef, a long-standing beef, and probably one of the most famous rap beefs ever, and that is the beef between Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown. So we're not going to talk about their individual rises to fame or too much about their backgrounds because you guys can find that information pretty much anywhere. It's a tale as old as time. And I think you guys kind of already know that part of their history. At least I know I do. As a daughter to a single mother, growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s, my mom constantly blasted both Lil' Kim and Foxy's music. So I've known their lyrics and their stories for a very long time. I will say my mom probably preferred Kim, so I had to discover more about Foxy on my own as I got older, but they were definitely both large parts of my childhood, and I feel like if you're around my age, I'm 27 by the way, I feel like if you're around my age, you would probably agree. So I know I have a pretty good understanding of their individual story, but what has always been kind of funny to me is the origins of their beef. Like, what are they really upset about? What started it? So rather than their individual stories, I decided it would be much more interesting to delve into their interactions with each other and how it turned into a beef on wax. That means on record, for people who don't know. Then turned into a shooting and then ended up in people going to jail. So let's get started because these ladies have a long, long history with each other. Both Kim, born Kimberly Jones, and Foxy, born Inga Marchand, grew up in Brooklyn. Kim grew up in Bed-Stuy and Foxy grew up in Park Slope. So if you know Brooklyn, these two are not very far from each other, but they're definitely two distinct neighborhoods. They actually went to the same high school, Brooklyn College Academy, but I'm not sure if they were actually there at the same time because they are 4 years apart, so I don't believe that they met there. If they did, Kim would have been a senior and Foxy a freshman. Gavin, who is Foxy's brother, said that they met through a mutual friend and that they were on friendly terms and that they would see each other around Brooklyn pretty often. I'm sure you guys know Foxy and Kim actually have a lot in common. Both of them were interested in music, and they were both taken under the wing of New York rappers that were pretty much already established or getting established, and this was happening around the same time. So Kim, at 15, was thrown out of her father's house after an argument and started dating and doing drug runs for local dealers. At 17, she joins forces with a 19-year-old Notorious B.I.G., Biggie, after he heard her freestyle, and then she became a part of Junior Mafia. The group's first and only album, Conspiracy, was released in 1995, and Kim is clearly the breakout star. I think that a lot of people don't know that some of Kim's biggest songs or the songs that she is very well known for. Some people don't even know that, Junior Mafia those are Junior Mafia's songs together. So she was clearly the breakout star. I know y'all know Players Anthem, Get Money. I mean, she, shined on those. So Foxy, on the other hand, was actually signed to Capitol Records under a different name at 14, but they eventually dropped her. Little known fact, after this, Foxy tried to work with Diddy, who was then called Puff Daddy for the youngins, but she was turned down. After appearing on LL Cool J's Who Shot Ya alongside Keith Murray, Prodigy, and Fat Joe, Foxy ended up linking up with Jay-Z and then eventually became a part of the firm with AZ and Nas. Naturally, both women soar after these moments, becoming the go-to girls for featured rap verses, and they both start working on their own albums. I think that these affiliations kind of helped them skyrocket faster than they would have if they came in on their own. And they kind of, in my eyes, I could be wrong, but just as a hip-hop observer and being a kid around this time, they sort of started a trend of women coming in under rap conglomerates like Remy Ma with Terror Squad and Nicki Minaj with Young Money. They weren't the first women to do this, but I feel like it became more common once they did it. And this really catapulted both women into stardom. I think that now things have changed. We're seeing women get a lot of stardom and shine without the cosign of a man. But I feel like after these two, that's like the only way women came into the industry. So it's nice to kind of see that now women don't really need that cosign from like a big label or a really big guy who's already famous. But anyway, so pay attention here, y'all, because like I said, they got catapulted into fame really quickly, and it seems like their fallout happened really quickly as well, so definitely pay attention. There's so much going on over the span of like 3 years, but here we go. Kim, Foxy, and the Brat were featured on Total's remix for their song No One Else, and this is the only song with the two women together. It's believed that they didn't have any problems with each other at this time because there were no reports of it. So I'd say it's safe to say they had no problem with each other at this point. So I think they were okay. This is where the media really starts to pit them against each other. Hardcore, Kim's debut album, was released on November 12th, 1996. On November 19th, Foxy's first album, Il Na Na, drops. Y'all, that is exactly 1 week later, 7 days. At this point, they're already being pitted against each other because they have similar content, they're from the same city, and now they have to compete against each other commercially. Like, I don't know why record labels are so messy. I mean, I guess, it stirs up controversy and gets their people in the press, but I mean, it's just crazy. And from my research, this is something that happened a lot with competing artists. And now what we see, at least what I've noticed in the music industry, is it seems like artists have more free reign over like when their albums come out. And I've seen interviews or tweets where artists will say they pushed their album back because somebody's album was coming out this week or too many albums were coming out that month. So I think people have more control over it. But as you can see, them only having a week in between their debut albums, like it was just, of course they were going to start to compete against each other, and it really turned from friendly competition to something else very quickly. Despite the drama, both albums go platinum. Hardcore actually went double platinum. Foxy and Kim are still cool at this time. Foxy even shouted Kim out on Il Na Na. The women then appear together on the February 1997 issue of The Source magazine. The interviews for the features were conducted separately, though. It's actually rumored that their fallout was sparked over them wearing the same jumpsuit on the inside of their album covers. Speaking of The Source magazine, former editor Kim Osorio says, "I've gotten mixed versions of the story. One that I remember was about their album packaging. If you go back to both their debut albums, you will notice they have on the same outfit. I heard that one borrowed the outfit from the other, and that led to them not speaking. Whatever the reason, it seemed trivial to everyone around." Following the release of their albums, both women experienced backlash and criticism from our problematic faves, Black activists, and feminists. Now, I have talked about this briefly before in season 1. I can't remember which episodes, but Black feminist work from the early 2000s is so sus. Like, I mean, it's some of the most judgmental stuff I've read in a very long time, and it just kind of shows you how feminism has kind of progressed and changed over the years. It's not perfect by any means, but it really does show you how much things have changed. But if you think about Black feminism in the media in 2001, it was definitely very judgmental. So These people claimed that Foxy and Kim set women back years, set back sexual rights, they contributed to moral corruption, you name it. They were calling these girls every name under the sun. In an interview with Vibe, Foxy said that the ladies had a pact where they agreed to help the other while they were both associated with Lance Rivera's Unlimited Management. I'm not sure why they were particularly worried about him. I know I've heard his name throughout hip-hop for years, but it might have been something about his business dealings that made them feel like they might need to look out for each other. I couldn't find anything on it, but it seems like they were both kind of, cautious of him. So this is when Foxy joins the firm, surprisingly, thanks to Kim. Kim calls Foxy with AZ on the line and tells her to rap for him. They set up a meeting, and now Foxy's a part of the firm. The group started out with a lot of hype, but that seems to have fizzled out around the time they signed with Aftermath and dropped their album. I think they split up shortly after this. I actually really, really like their music together. It's kind of sad, but at this point, both women are now fully enthralled in the world of fashion. Kim signs to Wilhelmina. She's heavily associated with Baby Phat, Versace, and a lot of other houses and brands. Foxy is the Christian Dior poster girl. Y'all already know. She's associated with Armani, Dolce & Gabbana. They were both very, very influential in fashion. A lot of people use them as their muse, use them in runway shows. You guys know this. They are both fashion icons. I feel like you can't take that away from either of them. They both have super, super iconic looks. In 1997, Lear Cohen, the CEO of Def Jam, had the idea to make a joint album called Thelma and Louise with both Foxy and Kim. Foxy says that both of them were offered $500,000 to do the album, but they both declined. So at this point, it kind of seems as if the women don't have any public beef. They just don't want to be associated with each other anymore, which is understandable because they're being compared to each other so much. They're running in the same circles, all of that good stuff. So I think they're trying to create like a healthy distance between themselves now. So in 98, Foxy dropped her second album, China Doll, and it's thought to be a little bit more sexual than Il Na Na. Mind you, Foxy was really young when Il Na Na came out. I think she was 16. It debuts at number 1, but drops very rapidly. I know this album catches a lot of flack, but this is actually my favorite Foxy album. I love the China Doll album. I actually like it more than Il Na Na. But so as the 90s come to an end, you start to see them unravel a little bit, and they start publicly feuding over tracks. Lil Cease, a member of Junior Mafia, for those who don't know, released a solo album in 99 with a song called Play Around featuring Kim and Puff Daddy, Diddy, whatever y'all call him. And they both take little jabs at Foxy. I know that Diddy ends the song with, and stop trying to sound like her too. So that kind of ignites a whole beef. So on June 27th, 2000, which was actually my 7th birthday, Kim's second album, The Notorious K.I.M., comes out, and on a track with the same name as the album, she disses Foxy again, but this time she makes it more clear about who she's talking about. She says at one point in one of her verses, you and your firm. So, the group was the firm with Foxy. So, we know she's talking about Foxy, right? That same year, Foxy gets on a song called Bang Bang on Capone and Noriega's album, The Reunion. She actually uses the intro from the Quiet Storm remix, which is a bold move. This is a song that Kim was featured on with Mobb Deep, again, for people who don't know. And so she uses the intro, the part that you guys know, hot damn ho, here we go again. So this is a more direct shot at Kim. This is a bold shot, like I said. I mean, Foxy really does annihilate Kim on this. She doesn't say any names, but she definitely makes it clear who she's talking about. If you have time, you can pause this episode, you can go stream all 3 of the songs I just mentioned, and you can hear what these ladies had to say about each other, and then you can come back. As you can see, after you listen to them, they went from very friendly rivals, kind of, friendly competition, with seemingly no reason to beef, to mortal enemies out of nowhere. I really wish I knew what happened before the first shot to make them feel this way about each other, but I can't really find anything personal. I mean, I think that's definitely just something the two of them know, or it could have just been like, the disses just got out of hand and they just wanted to take it to the next level. So Bang Bang, which is the song that Foxy was on, I guess that really escalated the beef even more. Maybe because it was a direct shot at Kim and what was said was kind of meaner than the things that Kim had said about Foxy. So, but whatever the reason, this really escalated things. In February 2001, Kim and her people were leaving an interview at Hot 97. They happened to cross paths with Capone of Capone and Noriega, who was on Bang Bang, and his crew. The two sides basically get into an argument, and that escalates into violence. One person from Capone's side, named Efrain Ocasio, was shot in the back but survived. Again, pay attention, y'all, because this situation gets messy. I remember trying to follow this when it happened, but there were just so many moving parts. I was so young, my brain was not that sharp. So here it is. Initially, the story was Kim had already left before the incident happened. Her manager, Damian Butler, was not present, and that she did not know what transpired that day. Through security footage, though, police found out that Kim was inside of the limo that the people who were involved in the shooting fled in, and that her manager was actually there. So this blew her whole story. This was an issue because Kim maintained throughout the entire trial that Damian was not there, and the footage directly contradicts that. So obviously that made her look very, very bad, right? Another thing that Kim said was that she couldn't identify a photo of the man that was believed to be the actual gunman, Suif, sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, I think it's Suif Jackson, who was called Gutta. And Gutta was actually Kim's bodyguard. So it's really not looking good for her at this point. Because it's like you're saying you don't know someone who, there's public proof that he's your bodyguard and you know him. So other members of Junior Mafia, including Lil C's, took the stand and said that they had witnessed all three people, Kim, Damian, and Gutta, at the shooting. This is where Lil C's and Kim fall out. I think they've since made up, but basically her Junior Mafia crew, they testified against her, and it's really sad because she told the lie to try to cover up what happened and to protect them when she really didn't have to. So it's kind of sad that they were just like, nope, we saw all three of them, including her. So, they gave her up, kind of easily. Whatever. I mean, it was a mistake on Kim's part, and I'm sure people advised her against lying, but I think she wanted to hold down her crew. So Suif, or Gutta, ended up confessing to the crime and pleading guilty on the gun charges and was sentenced to 12 years in prison. I didn't look into why he ended up serving 16 instead of 12 years. Something must have happened while he was in. But he was released in 2016, so he's free now. In a pretty recent interview, Capone says that he wished the shooting never happened, and in the midst of the fight, him and Lil C's looked at each other like, what are we doing? He said that Big was probably turning in his grave when that happened because C's was there when Biggie almost signed Capone. He put the blame on Hot 97, which I totally agree with, for booking the two of them back-to-back knowing that they had issues with each other. He brought up them booking The Game and 50 Cent back-to-back when they were beefing a couple years after this all happened, and that also led to a shooting. So I totally agree with him. I think Hot 97 should have not booked Lil' Kim and Foxy back-to-back like that. I mean, it was public that, they did not like each other and that they had beef, and they both roll with very deep crews of men, and a lot of people don't play. Of course, everybody involved is grown and they didn't have to pull out guns, but, you got to be cautious of stuff like that. So I agree with Capone here. A few years after the shooting, in March 2005, Kim was convicted on 3 counts of perjury and 1 count of conspiracy. She got sentenced to 366 days and 3 years of probation, and also had to pay a $50,000 fine. Kim was released from the Philadelphia Federal Detention Center on July 3rd, 2006. When Foxy was asked to comment on the situation, she said to MTV News, "I really don't know how it started. But Russell Simmons and we got together and I said, Russell, I want to call a truce. I want to have a sit down with Kim. I don't care what it is. Let's just end it. We can even do a collab. We're bigger than this. If it has to start with me, let it start with me." He also said, "The last time she and I were even around, there was a shootout. The last comment I ever remember her making about me, she laughed at the fact that I lost my hearing. Those things, when people do things like that and they have malicious intent, that's different than people just having a rap battle." This is when, maybe even a few years before this actually, Foxy sort of fizzles out while Lil' Kim remains the reigning queen of hip-hop. Many people say this is because Foxy's sophomore and third albums just didn't compare to her first, while Kim's albums were all nearly equally strong, which I agree with. Kim has 3 really strong albums back-to-back, and Foxy's albums kind of, go up and down. So I can agree with that. Some people say it's because Kim was more connected and made better relationships, especially with women throughout her career. What do you guys think about that? I mean, I don't know anything about, Foxy's relationship with other women in the industry, but you can see, even to this day, Lil' Kim is friends with a lot of women that she came into the industry with. Her and Misa Hilton are still close. Her and Mary J. Blige. I don't know. I think you saw her around with more of her female peers than you saw Foxy, but I don't really know about that. What do y'all think about it? I can see both being a reason as to why. I mean, Kim's later albums had bigger hits on them, and Kim probably just leveraged her relationships a little bit more. She did other female collabs like Ladies Night, Lady Marmalade. So I do feel like that could have had an impact on why she seemed to have more staying power than Foxy. Right before Kim starts serving her sentence, snippets of The Naked Truth, Kim's fourth album, are released. There are a few disses aimed at Foxy on this album, referencing her fight with Jackie O. Foxy follows up with a song called The Massacre, where she references Lil' Kim's brewing beef with Nicki Minaj, and she also says Kim's full name on the song. They both weaponized their beefs with upcoming female rappers against each other, which I find really, really interesting. Like, they both are like these, female rappers that have been around for a little while now. They've been around the block. They've solidified themselves, but they're both having conflicts with upcoming female rappers. And I just thought it was interesting that they both decided to use it as an attack against each other. So I'm not going to go into details on their beefs with Nicki and Jackie and other people, but there is an upcoming mini episode that you guys will see very soon, where we will be talking about all of those beefs. So it's not going to be live by the time you guys hear this, but keep an eye out on our Instagram at the Vixen Memoir so you can see it when it comes out, and we'll talk more about that. But anyway, back to Foxy and Kim. All right, so after this, Foxy Brown is sentenced to 1 year in jail for violating her probation following incidents where she allegedly assaulted a neighbor with her BlackBerry and moved to New Jersey without telling her probation officers. I cannot believe how many similarities these women had throughout their lives. It's insane. I mean, they both went to jail for a year. And then also, this thing about assaulting people with a BlackBerry, didn't Naomi have to do community service? Naomi Campbell, that is. Didn't she have to do community service because she assaulted someone with a phone? Was it also a BlackBerry, or was it an iPhone? How do you assault somebody with a phone? I guess you just throw it at their face. I'm not sure. But anyway, Foxy serves 8 months, and she's released in April 2008. That same year, both women, this is another similarity they have, are sued by publishing company that I'm going to say this wrong, Simon and Schuster? Y'all know who I'm talking about. After both accepting book deals and the advances for them, which is the money you get before, the book comes out, and not delivering. Lil' Kim allegedly signed the deal in 2004, and she accepted a $40,000 advance. Foxy signed a deal in 2006 and got a $75,000 advance. The company never received manuscripts from either Foxy or Kim. When Lil' Kim is a cast member on Dancing with the Stars in 2009, Foxy releases another song with a Lil' Kim diss on it called Off the Muscle. I do not know if anyone heard this song. I have not heard this one. I think at this point it was just like, come on now, y'all. Really? In 2012, Nicki was set to perform at Hot 97 Summer Jam, and Foxy was listed as one of her guest acts. People speculated that there was going to be a Lil' Kim funeral service portion with a look-alike, but Nicki actually pulled out of the performance the day before, and she denied all the rumors. She said that was very, very false. The following year, there was a plan for both Kim and Foxy to appear on stage with each other, but that never happened. And it's said that it didn't happen because Foxy showed up too late. Now, I do kind of believe that because my girl does have an issue with being late. I know that she, was late to other events and things, so this is plausible, but she said that this is not true on MTV's show Rap Fix Live. She said, it wasn't orchestrated properly. I understand the epicness of those two the biggest female rappers in the game to come together and touch mics is phenomenal. But somehow along the way, some part of that has to feel real. I'm not really sure what she meant by this. I think she's saying, they wanted this moment so bad, but her and Kim weren't ready for this moment. So maybe that is why, it didn't work out. The two of them probably hadn't talked face to face or had a sit down, which I think would definitely need to happen before they would appear somewhere together. Fast forward to 2020, things seem to be pretty quiet on the home front for now. The two women haven't really had any direct problems recently. You guys might have noticed throughout the episode, Kim doesn't really speak publicly on Foxy, and she mostly has not. Foxy, on the other hand, definitely shares her opinion, and I feel like that is so indicative of their signs. I relate to Kim because I'm a Cancer. I would probably never give this light if I was her. I would definitely, say what I have to say on songs, and if I wanted to talk, I would just reach out to her privately. I would definitely not do interviews and mention her. And then Foxy is a Virgo. I feel like Virgo women, like, they just tell it how it is. They just say what's on their mind. So I don't know. I feel like that reminds me of, their two signs. As recent as October, Foxy actually urged Kim to end her beef with Nicki Minaj. She has also spoken on the beef between Nicki Minaj and Lil Kim quite often. There have been other little subs here and there, but that's pretty much all that has happened. Both women went on to have children. They both have daughters. They've both had financial issues that they've gotten through. They've released mixtapes. They've had some high-profile features. Lil Kim was on a song with Remy Ma, I think like 2 years ago. Foxy was on Nicki Minaj's Queen album on Coco Chanel. So again, these two women just have a lot in common, and it's really a shame that they don't get along. That is pretty much the story of their beef. What do you guys think about their tiff with each other? My personal take, I feel like the media really pitted them against each other and created this rivalry, and I think that their respective camps were contributing to it as well and putting things in their ears. And I think that they probably were talking about each other behind each other's backs. I think, that just kind of happens with women sometimes. But I think that, like, possibly the labels were like, oh, this is going to bring us a lot of buzz for both of these female artists. So they played into it. And then other people started to play into it as well. And it just kind of spiraled out of control, which is why that's not a good tactic. It's not a good media tactic. I always thought it was shameful that they didn't get along because Foxy is a Virgo, like I said, and Kim's a Cancer like me. And I know it's not everybody, but I love Virgo women. My best friend is a Virgo woman. And I have a lot of other people in my life that I really, really love who are Virgo. So it just kind of always made me a little sad that they didn't get along. I mean, as far as, can they reconcile? Do you guys think they can reconcile? Like I said, I think they would both need to have like a serious sit down in private before they can ever come together, And now when I think of people having sit downs, what just popped in my mind? That show that Ray J has been producing on the Zeus network called The Conversation, where like people who have had beef on reality TV sit down and talk it out. They could probably make a lot of money off that. You know what? The Zeus network, maybe y'all should call me and I could give y'all some ideas because they would probably get a lot of subscribers from that. But no, honestly, in all seriousness, I feel like the two of them probably really need to sit down in private because there's just so much going on with them. And even though their beef kind of starts off very petty, it ended up in somebody getting shot and two people going to jail. Kim herself being one of them. So, I mean, it definitely would take like some healing with each other. But I feel like they could definitely get there. Like, they haven't bothered each other in a while. So I feel like they could get there. I don't know, though, because this has been going on since 1999. And it's literally a 20-year beef. One thing about Cancer women is when we feel wronged, we never forget it. Not to get all astrology on y'all, but like I really do feel like with Cancer women, because we feel like we never are intentionally trying to hurt someone, having someone hurt us is the pits for us. It's very, very easy for us to hold a grudge. And Virgo women, they ain't gonna back down either. So I don't know if we should hold our breath for a reunion of some sort, but I would definitely love to see it. Who could get them in the same room and sit them down? I feel like Diddy and Jay-Z, because Jay-Z is still cool with Foxy and Diddy is of course cool with Kim. They just went on tour together, the Bad Boy reunion tour. They're still cool. Like maybe since Diddy and Jay-Z are cool, they could be the ones to get the two of them together to sit down and I don't know, they could mediate or whatever. I don't know why maybe people have tried to do it. I don't know, but like it's been going on for 20 years. It needs to end. I love both of these women. They both had a very, very profound effect on my childhood and also my adulthood. I still look to them for reference. I still love both women. I still listen to both of their music very, very often. A lot of their music is the soundtrack to my life. Can't imagine, music without either of them. So I really don't like seeing them beef. And yeah. So this was very interesting to me to kind of like delve into the timeline of their beef because I don't think I really connected a lot of these things together. So this was kind of fun to do. Let me know if you guys want another episode like this, on female rap beefs. I know in season 1 of Vixen, I didn't talk that much about artists, really. It was kind of all women who were models and actresses and things like that. So One of the suggestions I got last season was to talk more about female rap. So let me know who else y'all want to see an episode on, and then I can start working on it. So that is season 2, episode 1 of Vixen, the first episode of the season. I hope you guys like this episode. I really miss you all. Make sure you come back next Wednesday for episode 2, and keep an eye out on Instagram at the Vixen Memoirs, because that content, I promised y'all, is coming. I promise. All right, so that's it. I'll see y'all next week. Bye. Thank you for listening to Vixen. If you liked today's episode, don't forget to leave a review. If you have a submission, feel free to email VIXENPODCAST@gmail.com. That's VIXENPODCAST@gmail.com. We'll be back next week with an all-new episode.